Stretchy time. If you want to stand up, please do so. Make sure you look at somebody and give them a big smile. Yeah. I do want to apologize for one misleading thing that I said in the introduction. I said there would be a rising and passing away of the sounds. That sound's not going to stop with the current temperature, I guess. So, my bad. Okay, let's check in with Zoom. Can you guys hear me okay? Great. Welcome. I see some very familiar faces. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm Larry Dawalt. I'm one of our 6 Dharma leaders, and it's really good to be here. Good to see you. I know some will be traveling about and going here and there. So if you see somebody you haven't seen in a while, ask them about their vacation because they probably have. And probably they've got pictures and they'll be willing to tell you all about it. Tonight I want to share some reflections with you on a practical teaching from the Buddha that came in my email some days back. I get several daily things. And this one usually comes about 7, 8 at night. And it's a portion of the Dharma. And in this case, this one caught my eye. It's the Dhammasavana Sutta. And the subtitle is Listening to the Teaching. Now, this became one of my favorites in a hurry because it's only about 7 lines long. And I thought, well, what can you learn in 7 lines? We're going to find out. The Buddha lays out for us in this short discourse 5 direct and transformative benefits that arise from the simple act of listening. Since it's so short, I'm going to read you an entire sutta tonight. You're going to hear an entire sutta. So stay awake and listen. Mendicants, here are the 5 benefits of listening to the teaching. What 5? You learn new things. Clarify what you've learned. Get over uncertainty. Correct your views. And inspire confidence in your mind. And if you simply Google in listening to the teaching, sutta, it'll come up. And there you have it. I was going to have everybody come up and take a picture of it, but simple. I want to look at these 5 one at a time, but first let's talk a little bit about listening. I had a good lesson in listening this afternoon because I got to spend some time with my 3-year-old grandchild. Now, most of the time, he is a really good listener. But like other things, John's ability to listen falls to the concept of impermanence. It's not always there. Now, he's a little blonde guy with curly hair, and of course I've got pictures. We can do that later. But I got down on the floor, not knowing how I was going to get back up. I got down on the floor and I built him a train track from some of the Brio tracks that I bought. And he played trains that lasted for about 5 minutes. And then he figured out that it was going to be fun to jump across the tracks. And he would jump, jump, jump. But what was even more fun was to actually hit the tracks. To which my dear daughter, who knows exactly how much a 4-pack of those tracks cost, said to him, "John, let's don't jump on the tracks." Well, gradually he worked himself into a frenzy where I didn't even know that he could hear her words. Giggling, giggling, giggling. To which the consequence came up that if we don't stop jumping on the tracks, we're not going to be able to ride the scooter down in the cul-de-sac. Well, he just kept jumping. Finally, he stopped, and I didn't think he had hurt her at all. It didn't seem like he had. But about 15 minutes later, when he was on the scooter and he asked if he could go down, she reminded him of the consequence, and he just sort of shook his head. Little rascal had heard it all along. Listening is something that is developed, and for a 3-year-old, you gotta give him some slack. But listening is something that is very valuable. And as we go over these 5, I first want to talk a little bit about listening and meditation, because meditation is an important teacher that enhances listening. I became a better listener when I learned to meditate. When I started sitting in my place, Liz, you're right in front of my seat. When I started sitting there back in 2012, I learned how to listen, even though I had been doing chaplaincy and grief care for many years. Because meditation can bring about attention and focus on a single point, the breath. If you can learn to focus on your breath, you can learn to focus on the person in front of you. Or you can learn to focus on that which you are hearing. Now, the mind is a wonderful thing. If you get tired of listening to me, you can go anywhere you want to go. You can go to Hawaii, you can go to Florida, you can go home, you can perhaps go somewhere you don't want to go. But bringing back ourselves to the breath gives us an opportunity to be fully present and to actually hear what is being said. One reason we can do this is the reduction of internal chatter. I listen much better to other people when I stop listening to myself. Are you one of those people that something's always going on up here, or is it just me? Okay, those nods translate to amen in the Christian tradition. But when we're able to focus and through meditation and have that choice as to whether or not we want to listen, it gives us an opportunity to push others away, hear the Dharma in such a way that our skills are improved. And also meditation helps us, I think, to have a better listening experience, because especially if we do metta, we can realize where the teaching has come from, where it is coming from, especially in terms of when you listen here on Wednesday night. Now, there's lots of teaching that you can listen to. And some of the most significant parts of listening to the Dharma, of course, the Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Path, 3 characteristics of existence, the 3 poisons, dependent origin. And just for the record, when I was first hearing about dependent origin, I wasn't listening as well as I probably should, because I've had to dig more and more into that. 5 aggregates of cleaning, the 5 hindrances. And sometimes on Wednesday night, the talk will be specifically on one of these basic teachings. Those of you who remember our spring series, we did the Four Noble Truths. In all probability, the Noble Eightfold Path will come after the Summer Sutta series. But each week there's a teaching that helps us learn new things. And I hope you find that to be true, because, and some of you obviously do, because you keep coming back. And that's nice. And I know in my experience, to keep coming back and to keep hearing those teachings was so valuable. Each week, we hear different teachings. Recently, we've heard about time and Dharma practice, how only love can end hatred, sit and stay, mindfulness of our relationship to money, the need for letting go, generosity and accessing insight, to name a few. And audio versions of these are on our website. And I would invite you to listen to some of those and to take your time doing so and do so in such a way that you're in a quiet place. And when I do it, I even stop them every now and then and just, take some notes and let them sink in. Lots of new, but regardless of the specifics, the teachings are about practical steps toward ending suffering and cultivating a more meaningful life. That's number one. Number two, clarify what you've learned. We've all had the experience of reading something or hearing something and feeling like we understand it, only to find out later that we don't understand it quite as well as we thought we did. And back to dependent origin, if you read in the sutras, Ananda said he grasped this to the Buddha in a hurry. And the Buddha explained very quickly to him, don't think you got it yet. And then there was the deeper teaching on that specific one. But listening, perhaps even at times from a different teacher or in a different context, I find I listen better if I have a rested mind. If I'm tired, I just don't focus as well. But clarification is not just about mental understanding. It's also about personal experience. And this is a path that is built around come and see. See for yourself. I always say this wrong. Epipasika, is that right? Is that even close? Do again. What she said. It's an invitation, but not a command. Because the Buddha did not ask for blind faith. The Buddha asked that his followers investigate and test the teaching in their own lives. And I don't know if you read Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Old Path, White Cloud. I'm about halfway through now, which about this thick, read a little bit every day. But I love it, the way it talks about how after hearing the teaching, the bhikkhus talked one with another about how they were going to live this and where they were in the process. Now, those of you who have studied neurolinguistic programming know the saying, the map is not the territory, the menu is not the meal. Because while listening provides the map, it is our own journey. It's our own experiences that clarify the terrain. So when we're talking about clarifying what we've learned, we're talking about getting out there with it, actually in encounters, in day-to-day life. And seeing this come and see in our lives, that's the ultimate form of clarification. Which brings us to number 3, getting over uncertainty. Doubt is a powerful obstacle on the spiritual path. You say, well, you're a Dharma teacher. You don't have any doubts. If you believe that, there's probably some things I need to sell you because you're pretty gullible. Skeptical doubt is actually listed as one of the 5 hindrances. Am I doing this right? That was one of the first things for me with meditation. Am I doing this right? Am I actually on a path? And meditation at this point plays a critical role in overcoming doubt, because as we train our minds through mindfulness and concentration, the mind becomes increasingly still and clear. And that was what was happening to my little grandson. His mind was not still. His mind was not clear. The Dharma talk comes after the meditation, for me, simply because we're still. We've had an opportunity to still our minds, to clear our minds, and then listen. With deeper concentration, we gain more direct insight into the nature of reality, impermanence, suffering, clinging. And hopefully we come to the point where it's not a question of is this true, but a direct perception of this is how things are. And that's what insight is, seeing things as they are. And number 4, listening. Correct your views. And this is perhaps one of the most challenging yet liberating benefits, because we all have views from the beginning as children. Now, I remember 6 years old on a black and white television. I don't remember if it was a debate or what it was, but my grandparents, may they rest in peace, taught me a little song that I still remember, though I would not sing it for any reason now other than right now. Nixon, Nixon, he's our man. Throw old Kennedy in the garbage can. Yeah. It's amazing that I recovered from that. But think about what you learn when you're young. What is good? What is bad? I learned in elementary school that asparagus is bad. And yes, if it's those big old honky things that come out of a can that are about this thick, and you could actually play with them and hit each other with them, it is. But if you take those thin pencil-like and put them on a grill with a little cheese melted on top, that's something different. Clarifying our views, correcting our views is important, and listening to the Dharma offers a mirror, because it allows us to examine our own deeply held views against a different backdrop, especially in regards to suffering. A right view, the first of the Noble Eightfold Path, is not merely about holding correct views, but about having an understanding about how reality is. One of the biggest ones for me there, again, is impermanence. Because the more I want things to stay the same, the more I bring suffering on myself. And listening to the Dharma helps us to have some liberation from suffering there as we learn to think in harmony. We learn what resonates with true existence, the truth of existence. And then the last one, inspire confidence in your mind. The inspiration of confidence is when we clarify what we've learned, when we begin to overcome uncertainty, when we correct our views, we settle into a state of ease and trust. And this ease and trust, even though we may know we have a long way to go, we can honestly say we're beginning to get some things and actually see some changes in our lives. And this is inspiring, because it inspires us to continue practicing, to delve deeper, and to learn more and more about our mind. The Dhammapada, right at the very beginning. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you, as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. Now, and in the modern world, we are bombarded with information. I found that one of my favorite times of the day is when I turn this off. Now that's a big step for me. But just to stop this bombarding of here and there, off with the television or off with outside things, we're actually bombarded when we're driving. I wonder how many billboards I see between here and Beaufort. Information, things coming our way. And one of the biggest sources of this bombardment is right here. But if we can focus, we see that true wisdom requires a different kind of approach by being attentive and having time to reflect on this come and see. this come and see. So here they are again, learning new things, clarifying what we've learned, getting over uncertainty, correcting our views, and inspiring confidence in our minds. I want to give you a little homework. This is optional. This is not required. We will not be checking papers. But go on imccharlotte.org and pick a Dharma talk. And as you listen to that, have your little copy somewhere or have it written down of the 5 steps. It's easy to get to, imccharlotte.org, resources, Dharma talks. Find a quiet place to listen and allow yourself to fully be mindfully present and listen. See what happens.